Hello everyone. Today we are going to take a walk around St Andrews Square. How are you all? Hope you're all happy and healthy and well out there. Welcome to St Andrews Square. Kind of continuing our look at the new town a little bit. I know I've done a lot of these bits already, and we've been to St Andrews Square a lot in varying videos, but we've never actually just taken a walk around it and maybe talked a little bit about it and had a look. So we've done Charlotte Square, which is the exact opposite side. If you remember when I was talking about Charlotte Square about 3 videos ago, how it was a mirror image of each other. Charlotte Square at one side, St Andrews Square at this side. Now, as I said, the new town with its design was very much a union thing. When you look at the name of the streets, Thistle Street, Rose Street, George Street, named after the King of the entire United Kingdom at the time, Charlotte Square, named after the Queen, and also Queen Street. So you can see that there's a lot of tie-ins. Now, as I mentioned before, Charlotte Square wasn't originally going to be Charlotte Square. It was going to be St George Square and St Andrews Square, for obvious reasons. Patron saint of Scotland, patron saint of England, but there was already a George Square in Edinburgh, so George Square and St George Square they thought was maybe a little bit too close and going to be a bit confusing, so they went with Charlotte Square, named after the Queen. Since the King got a whole street, the Queen got a square. Anyway, so that was the idea, and they still suck. With a lot of the original ideas didn't pan out. Because, like I said, it was supposed to be the Union Jack originally, and that changed to roughly kind of the same, but not. And now we're here. So let's take a walk around. Now, the big difference you'll probably notice, you can come into St Andrews Square and you can have a seat, and there's a little Costa coffee there in St Andrews Square where you can sit and have a coffee, and there's nothing really here. It's just a nice green area. Which is always good. Cities always benefit from nice green areas where people can just sit and chill. And a big statue in the middle, don't really know who that is, and to be honest, I'm not really bothered. It's a nice big statue, whoever it is. But yeah, so you can see it's a nice bit of greenery. If you're looking for a nice bit of greenery to sit down in, at least Edinburgh is not short of them. But let's now take a walk all the way around the outside and you can see what's here. So let's give you a frame of reference where we're starting. There's the old Jenner's building. If we look straight down, there's the old Gothic rocket. That is the Scott Monument. And let's just walk along, see what we can see. So straight away, you've got the ivy. If anyone fancies the ivy on the square, apparently, it's got in writing on there. I've never been there. It's not in my sort of wheelhouse, but for certain people, I'm sure it's lovely. We have spoke about some of these places for breakfasts and things in the new town and places to try. I don't know what this next building is. You can see here, these are all new. These are all new buildings, only going back about 9 years or so, if that. I remember these getting knocked down and replaced. I don't know why they knocked them down. It's always a shame, because they definitely don't match the aesthetics of the rest. There are some other new buildings here and there. It's changed a lot, as in the buildings here. Truthfully, when you look around, there's, compared to Charlotte Square, which it looks like it's all the original buildings, there's definitely not as many. I would say probably only about half are maybe the original buildings in this space. But yeah, I don't know what that is. It's an office block. But next up, we've got Gordon Ramsay's kitchen there. Bread Street kitchen there. Look, big picture of him. Edinburgh, coming soon. Street Burger. Has he got a new place opening? What's that? Gaucho. These are all like nice places to eat. Gaucho there. Wagamama. And then Dish Room, which is an Indian restaurant. So you can see, if you're fancying somewhere to eat, you've got 4 in a row right there of nice places to eat. And then we hit the nice buildings. Well, no, that's a nice. The shroom is actually a nice building. When we spoke about that one before, we looked at how beautiful that building actually was when you look at the details. And then, right on the first corner, we hit a pub. We hit Doors, which is a nice little pub. It is a nice little pub if you ever fancy heading in there. Let's cross the road. We're just taking a walk around and look at, oh, wait till you see some of these buildings. This is what I'm talking about. So the Edinburgh Grand Hotel used to be a bank, if I remember correctly. Now, beautiful, beautiful spot. I think it's got some rooftop stuff in there. Rooftop things are definitely the fashion in Edinburgh right now. It's like all of a sudden people have went, have you looked at this city? This city is beautiful. Why are we not showing it off? So all of a sudden, everywhere's getting a rooftop something. So I'm sure they've got a rooftop thing, but it is a beautiful, beautiful building. If you ever get the chance to head in there, do have a look. Lady Libertine, I don't know if that's a sort of bar thing on the corner as well, kind of separate but attached as well. Next up, I don't know what this building is, to tell you the truth, but look at that up there. Look at that. Looks like it's got a menu in the front, so I'm going to say it's a restaurant at some place. Look at those though. Are those not incredible? We just, like I said before, we just don't do this anymore. Look at that. That is brilliant. I wonder who they are. That looks like a writer. That's going to be something to do with food. That's going to do with food. That's a writer of some sort. Oh, that one looks... You know it's going to be some sort of like, this is music, this is prosperity, this is literature. You know it's all that sort of thing. I just don't know which one it is. I wish I did. They're brilliant. And then there's cherubs on there as well. That's just stunning. And then look at that next to it. I've no idea what that is either, but in that fancy building, not only nice, some of it looks quite restored. Almost looks modern in its oldness. Does that make sense? Modern in its oldness? You know what I mean? It's obviously, it's had a wee scrub to make it a bit fresher. Looks good. But, right, this bit here. This is the Royal Bank of Scotland. In here. But, if you remember what I said about the original design, the original whole thing's supposed to mirror each other. Originally that was going to be a church. That space was going to be St Andrews Chapel, funnily enough. And then obviously, if you remember, when we were right across the other end at Charlotte Square, there was a church. Can you see the steeple through the trees? Can we get a... We can't get any... There's trees and things in there. For goodness sake, trees. Nature, for goodness sake. But there is a church, or was, it's not anymore, but there was a church built at the other end, supposed to be mirrored at the exact opposite end, with St Andrews Church, Chapel, Kirk. I'm not quite 100% what they would have called it. But no, this building got built instead. Look, you can get the tram here as well. Tram stops right on St Andrews Square, right there. In fact, that one, look, that one's finishing at St Andrews Square. And that tram goes down, hits Princess Street, and then goes all the way along Princess Street and out to the airport. After the building that was going to be a church and is now the Royal Bank, we've got another building like that one that looks like, oh look, the tram is just like the bus. Just likes to get in my way. Just rude. Anyway, there's a building that's another scrub as well. Now we've got Harvey Nichols right there. That, believe it or not, has got a rooftop restaurant-y bar thing as well, if you want to sit up there and have some breakfast or something. All these fancy rooftop places now, like I said, it's definitely the fashion in buildings now. And then right in the corner we've got Maltese Walk, where there is, again, some nice fancy shops and stuff as you head towards the new St James Quarter. You walk along there, you'll get to the St James Quarter. There's Louis Vuitton, see right there, so fancier shops. But we're not going that way. That's us halfway round St Andrews Square already. Look, that you get a lot of buses here now. You see, this is where you get a lot of the city tours now. This used to be on Waverley Bridge. That's where you did used to get them. Waverley Bridge heading down towards Market Street, corner of Coburn Street, and in between Market Street and Princess Street. That's where all of these used to be. but they've been moved from there now, so they're here in St Andrews Square. So if you're doing one of these city tours, sightseeing tours or anything like that, this is where you're going to get them. Look at that building. Is that not beautiful? Not as nice as the building next to it though. Look at that. I'll have to cross over to get a proper look at it. That is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful building. I'm obviously right up next to it here because the buses were in the way and I couldn't get quite close. St Andrews Square. Oh look, this place is to let for refurbishment obviously, but isn't that a beautiful building? Isn't that a shame that that's sitting empty? Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? Compared to the other brickworks and things, that's just beautiful. I'm just appreciating the brickwork now. That's what this video has become, me just going, oh look at that. Beautiful. Doesn't look, I don't know what a lot of these buildings are, they're just office buildings now. You get a lot of that around about this area. Now, as opposed to when we were at Charlotte Square, these streets or these buildings don't have the same residuals as those other buildings. There isn't the foot scrapers, there isn't the lights, the gas lights with the bits, but they're still beautiful buildings. Look at that. It's an investor's building apparently. Don't know what that means, but it says investors on it. These are beautiful though. Look at those 3 doorways. Why do you need 3 doorways all together like that? And here's an, I wonder if these have been stripped back. Because that one's like the other building, these two. Is there any builders out there that can explain? Do you think this is just the way they were made, or have they been stripped back to lesser bricks inside, which actually looks nicer? I don't know. But anyway, here we have a place that I can't read because its sign is a bit Malmaison Brasserie and Bar. There we go. And that looks the same. Much of the same. Oh, there's a sign on the wall. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. I like signs on the walls. In this house, Henry Brougham was born 19th September 1778. Oh, I wonder if they're going to put a plaque on the hospital I was born on. It's not a hospital anymore, but it'd be nice, you know. You know, just a little thing. Tony was born here, 1976. Yeah. Now the last part of the street here is not as nice, I'm going to be honest. There's Thistle Street right there. That's Thistle Street. Rose Street is just the opposite side beside Jenner's. Ibis Hotel. That opened about, again, 9 years ago as well, roughly. Yeah, about 9 years ago. I have to say though, very central. St Andrews Square. You've got Princess Street right there. It is a good spot for a hotel to be in this area. That's not bad at all. I don't know what that building is, but it is ugly. That one right there. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Obviously more modern. That's like a 60s or 70s building, isn't it? There's just a look about them. And then isn't it a shame, because that building obviously is not new. It's got, like, if you look above the door, it's got Prudential Providence there. Providenta. It's got a sign above the door, which has obviously been built in. Then you've got this ugly thing, and then you've got that again. Look at it next to it. I mean, look at all that up by the roof, and that's just beautiful. I know a lot of what I talk about is me just going, look at that, isn't that great, isn't it lovely? Let's talk about St Andrews Square. When this was built, a lot of the new town was built by trying to get people to invest and build buildings, because the old town was cramped. It was cramped, and Edinburgh had to expand. It had to. It was a mess. It was the capital city, and people didn't want to come here. So the new town was invented, essentially, to bring Edinburgh into the modern day of the time. And they got most of these buildings built by trying to get people to leave, investors and people with money to leave the old town and come into the new town. So a lot of the buildings, like why that ended up as a bank instead of a church, was investors and buildings saying, right, do this. There was a lot of, for the time, bigger, famous, richer names who lived here, who then tried to encourage other rich, famous-ish people to live here to again help invest in the new town. There's a street on Thistle Street. Go have a look at the video of Thistle Street, which I did a while ago. There's a little building on there because people bought plots of land and with the idea of, you know, this is the way it'll look, and someone built one house facing the completely different way of everyone else because he wanted to. He bought the land. It looks different. It's where everyone else has got the front of the building, you've got the side of the building for his, and a beautiful bit of land. So go have a look at the Thistle Street video and you'll see what I'm talking about. So that was kind of the heart of these whole parts of the town, and it worked. The city expanded and grew exponentially, so it did exactly what it was supposed to do. But it did it, and I hate to say it because it's just the capitalist way, really, but it did it by enticing the money, and did it by enticing the money people to say, well, look at this beautiful bit of land, look what this could be, come build your building here. And they did. And then just here we are. There's George Street right there. So again, we walk straight along there, and we get to where we're Charlotte Square, and there's the church. There, they see the steeple right there. That's what I was talking about, right at the very end there, which should have been mirrored by one at the other side. And we've got a bank. But the only building we've missed out is the old Capitol building right there. Look at them. See, again, this looks fairly modern comparatively to say that. So I'm surprised to see those sort of statuesque Oscars kind of statue people with kids, but it's nice that they put it in and don't got flagpoles that they're not using. See that a lot in buildings as well. A lot of buildings with flagpoles and they don't use them. Like there's another two up there on the top of that building there as well. So there's two there. I wonder if we can see any more. But see, there's another one. Lots of flagpoles on building. There's another one down there. Lots of flagpoles that we don't use. Why do we have them if we don't use them? Put a flag up. It's a nice space. It's a nice space to come and chill. There's definitely nice restaurants if you want to come, if you're lucky enough to get a room in the Ibis over there as well, or in the Grand over there. Nice hotels, nice food, nice and central. It is a nice, it's nice, it's just nice. It's a nice area if you can get the opportunity to come and stay here, or even just to visit. Grab a coffee, sit in the park and relax, and that's always a good thing. So yeah, there you have it. The only other thing is there's a Sainsbury's local. A lot of you ask about where you can get supermarkets and things fairly central. Sainsbury's local, right opposite the old Jenner's building, right there. So there we have it. That's just a little basic today. A little walk around St Andrews Square to match the walk we had at Charlotte Square. I've got less history about this particular square. I don't know if it didn't pay as much of a part in the history of the new town. It obviously did, because it was important for investors, and the two squares were kind of where you wanted to be. This was very much a money square, business square, some residents, more residents along Charlotte Square. This was more of a business end side of it all, but there definitely was some residents here as well. But you've got, as much as I hate to talk about the money side of things, I've got to tell you that, because it's how these parts of the city were made. This part was made because Edinburgh needed the expansion, and the only way to get the expansion was to get the money, and the only way to get the money was to entice the businesses. That's how it worked. Not a lot's changed. That's kind of how it worked, and it did. It started the new town expansion, and then it kept going. So they did their job. And now it's a beautiful place where you can come and chill, grab a pizza, grab a whatever Gordon Ramsay does, and come and sit and eat something and have a coffee, and then if you see me, say hi. Anyway, we'll leave it there for today. Hope that's been okay. If you've liked that, please remember, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe if you haven't already. It would genuinely mean the world. Or how about become a patron, get some extra stuff, and really help me keep the channel going, because that's how I manage to keep it going. That would be amazing if you could, but if not, watch as many videos as you possibly can. That's very cheeky of me, isn't it? What am I like? We'll leave it there for today. Again, hope you're all healthy and well. Look after yourselves. Until next time, bye humans.